able to get killed by a police officer for something stupid.
Okay, we are live. Good evening. This is Conrad Deluge from downtown Lexington, where protesters have been protesting for about the last hour or so through downtown Lexington. The march actually started in front of the courthouse and then walked down to Cheapside, and they went through the history of Cheapside, which served as a slave trade market in the 1800s up until the end of slavery after the Civil War. And they talked about the history of what that name means and what happened here. And then afterward, they moved to protest. And we are now in front of police headquarters where, for the first time since the protest began, there are no police officers in front of police headquarters. And also, there is still a barrier set up, but there are no officers outside. And now people are giving their own, they're sharing their own encounters with law enforcement officers over the years. So I'm going to step in so you can start to listen to their stories. Actually, we just caught the end of that, so now we are getting ready to move, figure out where to go next. Here in downtown as protesters start to stand up from in front of police headquarters. We are live once again on the LEX 18 Facebook page. Several people gave their own testimonies of encounters with law enforcement over the years. And people here have been talking about how they need more police accountability into what's been happening. And we've seen signs, we've seen the names of people killed in police shootings. Many signs for Black Lives Matter. One right next to me. Christ and racism don't mix. You can't say I love God and hate his creations. That was one of many signs out here tonight in downtown Lexington as we start to make our way back down Main Street toward Limestone. So you'll just stick with us for a moment as we make our way through downtown. This is the 9th night of protests here in downtown Lexington. Starting to move up a little bit. And if they start to lead, I will quiet down so you can listen in. Once again, we have started the protest right around 8:30, so it's been going on for about an hour now. They assembled in front of the courthouses earlier, making sure people have plenty of water, making sure people have masks, access to the supplies that they need. And we started off by actually walking down Main Street toward Cheapside, which was empty tonight.
So beautiful.
None of the businesses appear to be open for that time. And they talked about the history of Cheapside, which was a slave trade market in the 1800s. And as you may remember, 3 years ago, there's a big push and ultimate removal of 2 Confederate statues of John Hunt Morgan and of John C. Breckinridge, who was a former vice president, but also the Confederate Secretary of War back during the Confederacy. That was the big push 3 years ago, and they in fact chanted once again, take back Cheapside. And the past couple days, there's been a lot of discussions about the possible removal of the Jefferson Davis statue, the former president of the Confederacy, from the Capitol, where Governor Beshear gave his support to that. And we're now moving back toward the courthouse now. Afterward, we went over to the front police headquarters where there were no police outside. Yesterday, they were in just their uniforms. And today, there was no one outside as people gave their testimony of their encounters with officers and over the years and how they felt when confronted by police and what they've experienced. And as you see, many reminders of the two of the names that we're here for tonight: Breonna Taylor, who turned 27, whose 27th birthday was yesterday, and also George Floyd, who's shooting in Minneapolis, who's shooting death by police in Minneapolis, or choking, excuse me, when he was killed in Minneapolis in police custody. That has spurred many of these protests. And right now we are gathered back in front of the Fayette County Courthouse as protesters are getting ready to make their next steps. We'll stand by for for a moment as we learn what's going to happen next.
Here and in this back corner. If anybody finds a Samsung A20, please bring it to the front. We do have somebody who's lost a phone. There are also trash bags taped around all the
Right now, there's
screens.
announcements for what supplies protesters. There's trash bags available for protesters out here. Also, plenty of water. It is hot out here, and everybody, many people are wearing masks out here, and there were masks provided to protesters earlier. And even as the sun sets, it's still really warm out, so they want to make sure that everybody is staying hydrated and staying safe out here as the ninth night of protest continues here in downtown Lexington. Back, I just wanted to step away and try and find Katie Collins as our photographer Eli Gain, former sports guy who is still in sports, but he right now is helping us out tonight with the protest. He's in the middle of the crowd, making sure getting the sights and sounds. And Catherine Collins is with us, and Catherine's been out here several nights during the protest. How does tonight compare to past nights?
So we talked about this week how we saw a difference in change between how police were handling the situation, because for multiple nights they had worn riot gear and had surrounded the police station, but starting 2 nights ago they started putting up barricades and they wore normal uniforms. Now today what we saw was those barricades up, but we did not see any police officers outside. So the group then decided to take that moment to share stories of their encounters with police and times that they had felt they were racially profiled, times they feared for their life, some powerful stories where people got emotional, and now it looks like they're trying to talk about where to march next. Sounds like they're wanting to get back into the street, so there's still a fairly large crowd here. I'm terrible at guesstimating size of the crowd here, but
I would say it's at least 300 easy.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So it sounds like everyone's, like you said, everyone's kind of taking a break right now, getting water, getting snacks, trying to get their energy up, and it sounds like they're talking about where they're going to be marching in just a few minutes.
Which so far we started off here earlier, and we went to Cheapside, where we talked about the history of Cheapside and what that means in this community, and as a former slave trading post back in the 1800s.
So we can turn around. So Eli, we have the protesters in the background here. But yeah, like you said, yes, we saw. We've taken different. Sorry.
We're trying to stay out of Eli's way.
We're trying to stay out of the way here. Okay. So we've seen them take different routes. A lot of days they've taken the route starting here on Main Street up past the police station. Today they started on Main Street and they went straight down to Cheapside, talked about the history of slave trading there. They've had some good chants there, talking about, peace to our ancestors who were sold here. The big difference between yesterday and today is, yesterday I was not here personally, but I saw in our coverage that there were people out eating last night around Cheapside that they spoke to. Tonight we did not see people out. It looks like those businesses decided to close down tonight.
Yes, and that was noted by the protesters that no one was outside, and it is an area where protesters feel this was an area where our ancestors were sold and beaten and treated less than human as below human, and then now Cheapside is an area synonymous with drinking and hanging out and having fun, and how the name Cheapside is still very raw notion that brings out some people here in Lexington, especially with what the name means. And as we saw 3 years ago when the two Confederate statues were removed, which was a big moment for the city, and a peaceful moment as well, which, you know, you've been out here for many of the 9 nights so far, and this has all been peaceful so far.
Yeah, that's right. And one thing I do want to bring up is, you know, obviously we talked about the different approaches that police have been taking every night, you know, switching from riot gear to no riot gear, but police obviously have told us that they have people on standby basically in case things did become not peaceful. But like you said, we've seen it stay peaceful all 9 nights here. We've seen some conversations with police, but we've also heard from organizers who are upset because they say they've been talking to police, having conversations with police about their concerns for over a year, and they haven't seen it change. And so, you know, they're looking to see that change immediately, and they think that they've had enough conversations.
Exactly. They feel like the time for action is now, and they want to see some real changes. Okay, and now we are back. We are come from the police headquarters, and we are back now in front of the courthouse, waiting for the next steps to be taken. And we certainly are following along. Eleanor Buckley is here as well. She was here last night, and she's been here. She was here at the beginning of the protest that started off last Friday, which was one day after the Louisville protest began, with the release of the 911 tape in the Breonna Taylor shooting by police officers. That case is still ongoing, obviously, and that has some of the protests here in Lexington. Louisville is now in their 10th night, their 10th day actually, and we are in our 9th night here. And we are trying to learn what the next steps are. But many of the signs here, I see one that Eli's showing right now, your life matters to me no matter what, and I am listening. And there's been many signs like that tonight. We're listening. I see Black Lives Matter up to my left. Silence is violence is another sign out here, another Black Lives Matter sign. We've seen protesters, we've seen a few in wheelchairs, we've seen it as young as 3, 4, 5 years old, chanting Black Lives Matter to cars, many of whom were honking. And right now, Main Street is shut down, and so is Limestone back at Vine Street to make sure that protesters can march peacefully to keep everybody safer out here. And as Katie was saying, this has been the 9th night, and it has been peaceful out here in Lexington. And there have been a lot of conversations, but as the protesters have said out here, they want to see some action. And they did go through what they want to hear. It appears they're getting ready to. We're going to listen in to see what's next.
To this side of the courthouse lawn, that'll just give me an indication that you're actually ready, okay?
The organizers are asking people to make their way back toward the courthouse to this side to indicate that they are ready to start back up. So we are still standing by to see what the next steps for the protesters is tonight. And we are going back toward, we're crossing in front of the circuit courthouse now. We're walking toward the district courthouse on Limestone. As we make our way back, we're going to stop right here to find out what the next steps are for protesters. Again, they're going through some, making sure that everybody has their belongings, make sure nobody leaves a cell phone behind or any signs are left behind. Make sure they're picking up after themselves, and a lot of recycling as we get ready. Come quiet over here. We're waiting to see what's going to happen next here in front of the circuit courthouse in downtown Lexington.
Mama, put the flag down because people are going to follow you.
Here's the thing, bro. Appreciate it, bro.
We're still standing by to find out the next steps we've gone from in the last hour or so.
All right, you
We've gone
all,
from
we're
in front
gonna
of Cheapside to the
line
police
up in this
headquarters,
street here.
and now we're
I need the
lining
leaders
up
in the front in the
on Short
crosswalk.
Street. We are now crossing onto Short Street, just in front on the courthouse side of Limestone.
So everybody else line up behind the leaders. I need the leaders in the crosswalk.
We're making sure to line up. As our Eli Game works to get in front of.
If you're going to be on the skateboard in front, though, you're going to have to listen
In
to
front of
what
the
we
protesters.
No, yeah, yeah.
In front of the group that's out here.
Just tell us where to go.
Okay. All right.
As they are blocking right
Thank you,
now.
Red.
So this
They're blocking the intersection at Short and Limestone.
I need you to lock arms. If you're not willing to lock arms, then I need you to be behind somebody. Lock arms, everybody.
And right here, this is why we're out here today and why Cheapside is such a big name. You see right here the sign, Lexington's long history with slavery, slave jail once stood here.
Locking arms is behind the
That's the
flag.
history, that's the reminders of history that they're trying to make sure everybody out here knows tonight. This is Lexington's history with the slave trade and what the Cheapside name means.
This is really important.
They went there last night and we returned there tonight. And as I said, that was a big focal point of protest 3 years ago, which led to the eventual push by former Mayor Jim Gray and the City Council to vote to remove the 2 Confederate statues that were installed in the early 1900s, long after the Civil War was over. Those statues are now in Lexington Cemetery. And now, many protesters standing blocked, arm in arm, getting ready to make their way down Short.
No justice! No racism!
Let's listen in.
No justice! No racism! No justice! No racism! No justice! No racism! Show me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like! Show me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like! Show me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like!
Protesters started at Limestone and Short and have come down Short to Broadway and are now stopping on Broadway. Some protesters are directing traffic to make sure cars are able to turn around as marchers come down Broadway. We did see patrons at a couple different restaurants that were outside on their patio cheering on the protesters, raising their fist in support of Black Lives Matter and the protesters out here as they continue to chant. And a couple protesters actually, or a couple of patrons actually, one of them grabbed their drink and jumped in line to support this. And a couple of protesters cheered them on for joining the fight as we make our way down Broadway now. And police have moved down to Broadway now to make sure to block off the street. And police have now blocked off Main Street to make sure protesters stay safe and that other cars that are out here too. And we've just been told that we're going to stay on this intersection at Broadway and Main.
We want the back to catch up.
The back is still catching up from Short Street. Organizers want to make sure that everybody can be heard and has their voices heard.
It is. I'm doing okay, yeah, I'll show you.
Is there a back caught up back there? Is the back with us? If the back is with us, can we hear you scream?
Once again, many signs. One of them right in front of us. All lives what black lives do. No justice, no peace. Signs of I can't breathe. Which is what George Floyd said on video. He died in police custody in Minneapolis, which ignited many of the protests across the country. Of course, in Lexington, many are also feeling for the family of Breonna Taylor and supporting her after the EMT in Louisville was shot and killed by police in the department, a case that's still being investigated. Our streets, as protesters stand right at the intersection of Broadway and West Main. With police support on sides of Broadway to make sure that traffic is blocked to protect protesters.
No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! Show me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like! Show me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like! Show me what unity looks like! This is what unity looks like! Breonna Taylor Mann! We gotta fight back! Breonna Taylor Mann! We gotta fight back! Breonna Taylor Mann! We gotta fight back! 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 Let's do it!
And we now continue down Broadway toward West Vine. Looks like police have this road blocked all the way down to High Street on the other side of the Hyatt.
Because we taking off way too fast.
Can I get all black men to the front line?
And they're now calling all black men to the front.
We ain't got enough minutes for that.
All black men to the front line, please. Not the personal, not the personal.
Black men, we need black men to the front.
Please.
Front line, put your hand up.
That's a black man.
Well, they were now asked for all black men to come up to the front.
Protect our women.
Hell yeah!
Adding they're here to make sure that they protect their women.
These black men up front is showing where the leadership starts. As a black man, it is your job to protect your mother, your sisters, your aunts, your daughters and nieces. We are responsible for us.
Yeah.
All right, my guys, I need y'all to lock arms.
We need y'all to maintain the pace, all right?
No justice!
Wait.
Move back. Let's keep alive. Let's keep alive. I love this energy, Lexington. I love this energy, Lexington. I love it. I love it.
No justice! No peace! 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 No justice! No peace!
All right, y'all. 30 weeks up. Maintainers, close 30 people face. I know y'all can do this. Come on.
Say her name! Breonna Taylor!
Say her name!
Breonna Taylor! Say her name! Breonna Taylor! Say her name! Breonna Taylor! Say her name! Breonna Taylor! Say her name! Breonna Taylor! Say her name! Breonna Taylor! Say her name! Breonna Taylor! Say her name! Breonna
Protesters now chanting the names of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd to the victims, to the recent victims, and why we are here tonight. Protest is now moving. We are now on West Vine Street on the other side, coming down Broadway, getting ready to come toward South Mill as protesters continue to chant Black Lives Matter now. Protesters chant, hands up, don't shoot. We are making our way past South Mill Street on Vine.
Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot.
As police continue to block the road to make sure protesters can move safely down the streets of downtown Lexington.
Where do we want justice? Where do we want it? Now. Where do we want justice? Where do we want it? Now. Where do we want justice? Where do we want it? Now.
The whole damn system is guilty as hell. And that correct. Send those Democrats to jail. The whole system is guilty as hell. And that system is guilty as hell. And that correct. Send those Democrats to jail. And that correct. Send those Democrats to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. And that
As we make our way down Vine Street, we're listening to the protesters continue to chant right now about the system. South Upper. Organizers continue to lead the charge down West Vine Street, making sure their voices are heard. Even though we've not seen Lexington officers here tonight, they want to make sure that police hear them. They said they have been having conversations, but they want to see action and holding police accountable. Police and protesters have been talking throughout the week. And as Kay Collins pointed out, the organization has been peaceful. The protests have been peaceful.
This is what democracy looks like.
As the names Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, they're making sure no one forgets those names. As we now are approaching Limestone. As we walk past Jeff Ruby's restaurant, some patrons are holding up their fists in support of the protesters.
Right here, we close the street right here, y'all stop.
And the protesters stayed in the street during it. As we make our way to Limestone. As it approaches 10 o'clock, we are going to sign off here on LEX 18. Up and continue marching, and that's at this point we are going to sign off. LEX 18 News will be on at 11. We'll have a full recap And we'll bring you live if the protests are still continuing at 11. We'll make sure to have live coverage. There is myself, Eleanor Buckley, and Catherine Collins out here, along with our photographers Ruth Fenimore, Eli Gain, and Alex Barber. We'll see you tonight at 11.